Senator Schumer what to do. We asked for, you've heard the term clean CR. That just means we didn't ask for anything to open government and negotiate a new budget for the next 6 or 7 weeks. And the Loon Wing and Senator Schumer have said we'll only agree to open it if you give us $1.5 trillion.
Someone in Washington just compared the entire United States Senate to a mental hospital game room, on camera without flinching. That tells you everything about where we are right now. Watch carefully.
Schumer is, he's nervous as a pregnant nun. It's hard to believe that anyone can fit that much stupid into their head. I think all those people need to pop a Zoloft and relax a little bit. Anybody that tells you that they know what the short-term impact of these tariffs is going to be on the economy has been homeschooled by a day drinker. If you hate cops just because they're cops, you don't know anything about them, then next time you get in trouble, call a crackhead.
Few people roast Washington and logic more with charm and more truth than my next guest. He's the most quotable senator maybe ever. He is John Kennedy.
This shutdown is a reflection of how absurd the demands are of the socialist wing of the Democratic Party, which is, of course, telling Senator Schumer what to do. We asked for, you've heard the term clean CR. That just means we didn't ask for anything to open government and negotiate a new budget for the next 6 or...
This is the moment the mask comes off, not the soundbite, the admission. A sitting U.S. senator isn't spinning this, isn't pivoting to talking points. He is telling you plainly that the institution he serves has lost the plot entirely. What you're watching isn't frustration. It's a man inside the system confirming what millions of Americans already suspect, that the people holding the levers of government are not governing. The shutdown isn't a negotiation anymore. It's a hostage situation with no serious ransom offer on the table. And the military isn't getting paid while both sides perform. Here's what I need to know from you. Do you think either party actually wants this resolved, or does the chaos serve them both?
7 weeks, and the Loon Wing and Senator Schumer have said we'll only agree to open it if you give us $1.5 trillion. Well, we're not going to do that. If we did do that, Brian, you would see inflation go through the roof. Mm-hmm. You would see long-term interest rates go through the roof. And I don't see an end in sight. I really don't. If we're still shut down in 2 weeks, my suggestion is that we lock Thune and Schumer into a room with Katie Porter and tell them they can't come out till they make a deal.
Absolutely. That would be a scary sight. And lastly, just as we try to fund the government, I think the problem is, to a degree, is that you're asking for nothing and they're asking you to undo the big, beautiful bill, including a lot of the rescissions that went through. So therefore, when they say meet halfway, you're not even out of the blocks. Like, where do you want to meet? You haven't asked for anything.
Yeah. Well, this is just crazy. Somebody asked me yesterday to describe it. I said it's like the game room in a mental hospital. That's what the Senate is like right now. I'm prepared to just stay shut down. I'm sorry for all the pain it's causing. Our military's not going to be paid for a while, and I'm really, the pain that is causing the American people breaks my heart. But I don't know what else to do. We can't they basically want us to repeal the one big beautiful bill and spend $1.5 trillion. And we can't do that. It would really hurt the country. But we can't just give the Loon Wing of the Democratic Party $1.5 trillion.
Right.
We can't do it. I'm not going to vote to do it.
A game room in a mental hospital. That line is going to get clipped, shared, laughed at, and dismissed as another Kennedy one-liner. And that is exactly how the real meaning gets buried. Because he wasn't joking. A United States senator, from inside the building, with full access to every private conversation, every closed-door meeting, every back-channel negotiation, looked into a camera and said the institution cannot function. Not that it is struggling, not that it is divided, that it resembles a facility for people who have lost their grip on reality. Let that land for a second. This is not an outsider throwing grenades from a cable news desk. This is someone who has to walk those hallways every single day, cast votes, sit in committees, shake hands with the people he is describing. And his conclusion, after all of it, is that the game room in a mental hospital is the most accurate metaphor available. So what does that actually mean for the rest of us? Start here. The government is shut down. The military is not being paid. Federal workers are absorbing the financial shock of a political standoff they had no vote in and no voice in. These are not abstractions. These are mortgages. These are grocery bills. These are parents explaining to their kids why the paycheck didn't come. And while that is happening, what is the Senate doing? The Republican position, as described here, is a clean continuing resolution. No additions, no demands, just keep the lights on while a real budget gets negotiated. The Democratic position, according to Kennedy, is $1.5 trillion in new spending and a reversal of the one big beautiful bill. Not a compromise, not a counteroffer. A reversal of the opposing party's signature legislative achievement as the entry price for basic government function. But here is what nobody is asking out loud. If the ask is that extreme, if one side is genuinely demanding the other party undo its defining legislative win just to reopen the government, then why is the coverage treating this like a standard partisan standoff? Because it isn't one. A standard standoff has two sides haggling over a number. This has one side at 0 and one side at 1.5 trillion, and the people stuck in the middle are service members waiting on a paycheck. Think about what this means if you are sitting in a military household right now. You did not choose this fight. You did not run for office. You put on a uniform, you followed orders, and now your direct deposit is frozen because two political factions cannot agree on the basic terms of keeping the country open. Kennedy says the pain breaks his heart, but broken hearts in Washington have a long and undistinguished history of not changing votes. Why now? That is the real question. The shutdown did not happen in a vacuum. It happened immediately after one of the most aggressive legislative pushes in recent memory. The one big beautiful bill passed, the rescissions went through, and now the opposition, rather than regrouping and preparing for the next election cycle, is using the appropriations process as a weapon to claw it back immediately. That is not governance. That is scorched earth. And Kennedy knows it. That is why the mental hospital line is not a joke. It is a diagnosis. Here is where it gets more complicated, though, because the people cheering that line need to sit with the other half of what he said. He said he does not know what else to do. That is not the voice of someone with a plan. That is the voice of someone watching a situation deteriorate and running out of tools. Supporters will say he is holding the line on fiscal discipline, that surrendering to a 1.5 trillion demand would light inflation on fire and punish every American who is not directly employed by the federal government. And they are not wrong to raise that concern. Deficit spending at that scale, layered on top of existing debt obligations, would ripple through mortgage rates, through consumer credit, through every corner of an economy that is already watching tariff uncertainty with one eye closed. Critics will say the shutdown itself is a form of harm, that you cannot claim to care about working Americans while their paychecks disappear into a political standoff, that the military, specifically, deserves better than to be used as collateral in a budget fight. And they are not wrong either. What both camps are missing is the structural problem that makes all of this possible in the first place. A system that can be held hostage by a faction demanding the reversal of past legislation as a condition of basic government function has a design flaw. Not a political flaw, a design flaw. Because it means the minority can always extract maximum pressure at minimum cost, as long as they are willing to let federal workers absorb the damage. And they always are. If this is the kind of analysis you are not finding in the mainstream coverage, you already know what to do with this channel. The story here is not the one-liner. The story is that a senator with an insider's view of the institution looked at the current state of the United States Senate and reached for a mental hospital as his most accurate comparison, and then immediately said he is prepared to stay in the shutdown indefinitely. That is not a political position. That is a man telling you the building is broken and he does not have the blueprint to fix it. The shutdown will end. It always ends. A number will be agreed on, a statement will be released, and both sides will claim they won something. The flags will still be flying, the paychecks will eventually come through, but the game room will still be the game room, and the people running it will still be running it. That is the part of this story that does not have an end date. Thanks for watching. If this gave you something to think about, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. And drop your take in the comments, because on this one, every perspective matters.